Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled People Story. I was excited to start my new internship at a marketing firm in the city. As a business student, I was eager to get some real-world experience before graduating. On my first day, I walked into the sleek office building dressed in my best business casual attire. I introduced myself to the receptionist and was directed to the office of my manager, Karen. Karen greeted me with pursed lips and a judgmental once-over. "So, you're the new intern?" she said, looking unimpressed. I smiled and extended my hand enthusiastically. "Yes, I'm Alex. It's so nice to meet you. I'm really looking forward to learning from you this summer." Karen shook my hand limply before motioning for me to take a seat. She proceeded to hand me a thick stack of papers. "I need these all photocopied and collated by noon. And when you're done with that, go ahead and grab me a soy latte from the cafe downstairs." I was slightly taken aback by her abrupt, demanding tone, but I figured as the intern, these sorts of menial tasks were to be expected. "No problem. I'll get right on it," I said agreeably. Over the next few weeks, Karen piled on the grunt work. I didn't mind most of the tasks. Making copies, filing, data entry. It gave me time to observe how the company functioned. But Karen's rude attitude grated on me. She barked orders, complained about every little thing I did, and made condescending remarks constantly. One morning I was hard at work processing expense reports when Karen came storming over. "Why aren't these reports done yet?" she snapped. "Do you know how crucial it is that I have these before my meeting with the executives? Are you intentionally working slowly just to make me look bad?" I stammered an apology and tried to explain that I was working as fast as I could, but she cut me off. "I don't want your lame excuses. Stop being so lazy and get it done." I bit my tongue and silently finished up the reports, seething. Her unprofessional behavior and verbal abuse were really getting to me. A few days later, I was asked to organize a big client presentation that Karen was leading. As she barked orders at me, I finally found the courage to speak up. "Karen, I know you're really busy getting ready for this presentation. Why don't I take care of gathering the rest of the materials you need so you can focus on finalizing your slides?" Karen looked at me furiously. "Who do you think you are, giving me orders? You're just a worthless intern. I'm in charge here." I stood my ground. "I'm just trying to help. I can handle the busy work while you work on the important stuff." Karen got right up in my face, eyes blazing with anger. "Listen here, you little punk," she hissed. "I've had it with your pathetic attitude. The only thing you're going to do around here is what I say when I say it." And with that, she slapped me hard across the face. I staggered back, utterly stunned. The entire office went silent, everyone's eyes on me and Karen. My cheeks stung, and tears welled up in my eyes. But I was more shocked at her violent reaction than physically hurt. I took a deep breath and addressed Karen calmly and professionally. "Your behavior is completely out of line. Consider this your first and final warning." With as much dignity as I could muster, I turned and walked away, ignoring Karen sputtering behind me. I went straight to the executive offices, knocked firmly on the door, and was greeted by a smiling middle-aged man. "Alex, good to see you. How are things going with your internship?" I smiled weakly. "Well, that's actually what I came to talk to you about. Dad. You see, this marketing firm actually belonged to my family. My dad was CEO, but no one besides him knew that I was his son. I had wanted to keep things professional and earn respect through hard work." Dad's expression darkened as I told him about Karen's harassment and the assault that day. "That is absolutely unacceptable," he fumed. "I don't tolerate that kind of behavior from anyone. I don't care who they are." He picked up his office phone. "HR, please escort Karen from the building immediately. Her employment here is terminated effective today." Karen looked stunned when the head of HR notified her. "You can't fire me. I'm the best manager you have," she sputtered angrily. They had to call security to physically remove her from the premises while she kicked and screamed the whole way out. I decided to go ahead and press charges against Karen for assault. With the support of my dad and the other employees who witnessed her behavior, the case was a slam dunk. She was found guilty of assault and battery and sentenced to anger management classes and probation. While it was an awful experience initially, I'm actually glad I got to see Karen's true colors right away. It validated my decision to keep my family connection quiet during my internship. I wanted to succeed based on merit, not nepotism. After the Karen fiasco, Dad ended up offering me a junior executive position to start after graduation. I eagerly accepted, knowing I would be working with professionals, not entitled narcissists like Karen. The next one is a pro-revenge story. My wife and I had just had our second child and moved into a duplex in an amazing neighborhood that had its own playground even. We moved in and greeted the neighbors, a bunch of younger people, but they seemed okay. The first day after moving in, we found that they had gone out and left their 7-year-old on a school day outside our door with a bag of goldfish and a note asking us to watch him while they went out. This prompted us to call CPS #1. The other neighbors and I got along really well. The old guy next door repaired bikes as a hobby, and the neighbor next door did woodwork. He would always come over to see the kids, and sent his grandchildren over to play too. They warned us that our upstairs neighbors were trouble, with constant traffic going in and out and parties every single night. This was 110% true. It got to the point where we couldn't sleep at night, and we had multiple altercations that escalated into full-blown yelling matches. The landlord was useless and did nothing to get rid of them, so I bided my time. Eventually, one night they came home in their red Mazda 3, and it was destroyed. They must have hit someone and ran, so I called the RCMP to let them know. At the very least, I figured they'd get in deep trouble, but I had no idea what I had just unleashed. It turns out the douchebag had a warrant out for his arrest for drug trafficking. He got hauled away in cuffs that night, and entitled Woman #2 got a visit from CPS again as they left their son home alone, again. This wasn't once or twice, it was every single day. So my wife went digging for names and found the mother on Facebook. Using public record searches, we found out that they owed Easy Home nearly $48,000 in assets, as they had taken off from the original address with all of their furniture, including TVs and a huge sound system. 48 hours later, the sheriff was there with a box truck, emptying their house. They took the beds, couches, TVs, the annoying subwoofer system, kitchen set, and even the dressers. CPS came shortly after and removed the child from the house. I didn't enjoy seeing him taken away, but they never fed him, and he was always in the same clothing, which was falling apart. We went out of our way to make sure he had full meals when we could, not gonna let a kid starve. The douchebag went to jail for drug possession. He was out on bail and hid the drugs in a dresser they took. Entitled Woman #1 went to jail for assaulting the sheriff, and Entitled Woman #2 actually had a happy ending. Far as I know, after she lost her son, she went through multiple programs to clean herself up and started working to provide for her son. I ran into her a couple of years ago, and she thanked me for what I did. I got pro-revenge on the drug dealer and his girlfriend and thankfully helped someone get on the right path. The next one is a petty revenge story. So I used to run a small business, Wedding Space, and I was very successful in a very short period of time. To the point that I was getting all expense-paid invites to industry conferences less than 6 months after I opened. Needless to say, this ruffled feathers. Enter Kate. Kate is a chief Karen who competes in the same space and has been nothing but awful to me from the moment she became aware that I wasn't just competition. I was doing better business than her. She would complain that I had gotten expenses paid, implied that it was because I was pretty, said that she felt people who had been in the space longer deserved it more, and made a vaguely racist statement about how my outfit colors don't look good on dark-skinned people. She also reported my booth for accidentally being less than 3 inches outside our 10x10 slot, and has tried on more than one occasion to have my competing products removed from vendors' halls. Needless to say, I despise this woman. Now fast forward a little bit into the pandemic. I see major issues on the horizon for my business, and so I decide to step out and sell for a pretty penny. Bought a condo, took a job at a nonprofit, and moved along with my life. But some of my friends still in the industry would give me updates or vent, and I was absolutely right to sell. Most everyone doing what I do has already closed, including the person I sold to. Kate, however, was still going strong, though I noticed her prices were really aggressive. My friend then showed me SS that Kate had bragged privately about claiming to be unemployed, disabled by using her longtime partner as a cover for her business, then dropping prices below what other sellers could do because she was double dipping. This really made me angry. I have a mobility disability, and I felt horrible for the people she was running out of business by pricing so low. So of course I reported her, but nothing seemed to come of that. Then one of the biggest conferences of our local industry came up on my calendar. This conference costs $8-10K to vend at, and many vendors make 50% plus of their yearly income from this one event. My friend runs the vending hall, so I asked her to place me right next to Kate. Now when I left the industry, I still had great contacts on the manufacturing side because I speak Chinese fairly well. I found the manufacturer for Kate's top-selling items and ordered a sizable inventory to take with me to the conference. I priced them at cost, and made ginormous signs about inventory liquidation, and created these super aggressive bundle deals that made it nearly impossible for her to do any business being right next to me. I could see her over there fuming, and she did try to come over and complain, but our booth was too busy to even entertain her obnoxious huffing and puffing. She closed her shop last week. I lost about $5,000 doing this, but I got a lot of people deals on packages/items that they never thought they could afford for their special day, and it was honestly fun to help people out, especially at her expense. The next one is a malicious compliance story. The setup. I have a 2-bedroom house. I decided that I wanted to rent out the other bedroom in the house to make some money on space I wasn't really using after COVID. So I fixed up the place really nice. The tenant gets a private semi-attached bathroom. The bathroom is actually outside the bedroom, but I put up drapes between the bedroom and bathroom so the tenant can walk between them without me seeing. Common consumables. I pay for toilet paper, paper towels, laundry supplies, kitchen supplies, etc. I created the lease. The lease is very bare bones. It just says, you get a room at this property, you pay this much per month. The landlord covers all utilities. Your lease is X months long. I created the ad. In the ad, I mentioned how it's okay to have guests over, but keep it to no more than twice per month. I did not put this into the lease agreement. You can see where this is going. I do a showing for a prospect T. I tell him the guest policy, and he seems just fine with it. I do the rest of the showing, and all seems grand. He signs the lease agreement and moves in. The problem. The first month is grand. Anyone can fool someone for a month. But eventually, you return to bad habits. His bad habit was women. He would have women over 4-5 nights per week. I did not appreciate this. I pulled him aside to tell him, hey, you're having a lot of girls over. You need to reduce how many girls come over. Or if you're willing to pay a bit extra for having all these girls over, I won't say a thing. He initially agrees with it. The next day he calls me down and asks to speak with me at the dining room table. It's T and his girl du jour. GT begins arguing. How can you ask for more money when that's not in the lease agreement? You can't ask for that. I told him the guest policy was in the ad and that we spoke about it when he came here. He said, yeah, but you can't ask for that. If it's not in the lease agreement, you can't do that. The guest policy isn't in the lease agreement either, so I pay rent. I can have whoever whenever I want. G piped in, you just need to take the L on this one and write better lease agreements. I replied to G, you're not on the lease agreement, so I don't give a shit what you think about it. I turned to T. It was in the ad. We also talked about it when you came here. You knew about this. T replied, whoa, man, calm down. It's just 6 months, man. That's my lease term. I'll be out of your hair in 6 months. I replied, why can't you stay at her place? G said, that's none of your business. Shut up, G. I don't care what you think. You want a problem, T? You got one. This is not cool and you know it. Why does she have to be here 5 nights a week? She practically lives here. I signed a lease with you, T, not with her. Why is she here? He shrugged. Can't help it. Not in the lease agreement, man. That's what lease agreements are for. I was infuriated. We talked about this. He's choosing not to follow the lease agreement. Okay, fine. What's a guy to do? I want him gone. I don't want T and G teaming up against me in my own house. They walked upstairs and turned on the loud music in their room. Later in the evening, G was downstairs cooking something on the stove by herself, using my pots and pans. She's cooking for herself in my house. She's not even a tenant, but she sure is acting like one. G tried striking up a friendly conversation with me, but I just gave her absolute silence for 10 minutes while I cooked. I took my food upstairs. This is war. I'm going to follow the lease agreement to the letter. If I advertised a feature in the ad, but it wasn't in the lease agreement, that thing is gone. The compliance. Every day I took something away. I first started by removing all the common consumables from the house. He texted me later, man, you removed all the consumables? You need to come down on the rent. I replied, not in the lease agreement. He said, it don't gotta be like this. I removed the drapes between his room and the private bathroom. I took away the chairs for the dining room table. I then shut off the clothes washer and dryer, circuit breakers were in my room, and left a note about the location of a local laundromat. I also became an absolutely filthy roommate. I didn't clean anything. I left bags of garbage wherever I felt like. I never cleaned the kitchen and left the sink full of dishes. Please, man, can you clean up? No. I had maid service, canceled that. I informed him of the change. Can you come down on the rent, man? Not in the lease agreement. You agreed to a rental price. Come on in. I turned off the breaker to the stove and left out a wall outlet single-pot electric plate for him to use. I turned off the microwave. Not in the lease agreement either. I actually started feeling bad for him. G started coming around less and less as I made the living situation worse and worse. Finally, he texted me, "Do you want me to move out?" I replied, "Yes, when are you leaving my house?" He said, "End of the month, you'll let me break the lease?" I replied, "Of course." He left at the end of the month. I had my house back. I made sure to make my next lease agreement way more specific about everything. The next one is an entitled people story. I wasn't even going to make a post about this, but my brother, whom I'll call Turk, 25M, made 4 posts about it, so I thought I should share my side of the story. I'll use the same names he did for the sake of simplicity. My fiancée is Maria, 24F, and my ex is Jen, 24F. A little over 5 years ago, my brother started dating Maria, my now fiancée. 3 months after they started dating, they set me up with her, now ex, best friend Jen. The 4 of us did a lot together since the girls were best friends. Turk and Maria dated for a year, and Jen and I dated for 9 months. At the end of our relationship, I came home early and found Turk and Jen having sex in my bed. After I processed the situation, I called Maria because I'd want to know if I were in her place. She came over and we confronted Turk and Jen. They dumped us, and I found out 2 days later they started dating each other. It broke me. I came home to find my brother with my girlfriend, only to run off with her. I had to move back in with my parents. It was infuriating because they kept talking about how happy Turk and Jen were. Throughout the next couple of months, Maria and I started talking. We were 2 people in similar crappy situations, and we found some comfort in each other. 4 months after we got dumped, Maria and I officially started dating. 6 months after we got dumped, Turk found out that Jen was cheating on him, and she left him for the other guy. I actually only found this out today from reading Turk's post. Maria would get the occasional message from Turk, trying to reconnect, but she ignored him. Anyway, moving on to now. Maria and I are engaged and getting married in September. My parents were invited until my mom called me and threatened not to come if I didn't invite Turk. I told her not to bother coming regardless. In my mother's eyes, Turk can do no wrong. When he ducked and started dating my ex, I told my parents everything he did, and my mom tried defending him. Our relationship isn't the greatest, but it was somewhat decent. After I uninvited my parents, I only uninvited my mom, but my dad texted me and said he's not coming if my mom isn't. Turk blew up my phone trying to get a hold of me. This is the first time he's even tried reaching out to me in 4 years. As I said before, Turk posted about this situation here on Reddit as well, and apparently my parents told him that Maria and I were getting married, and that started this whole thing of them getting uninvited. He stopped calling me, but he's blowing up my phone with texts, begging me to reinvite my parents and possibly give him an invite. So yeah, I just wanted to get my side out there. The next one is an entitled parent story. Okay, I'm at my wit's end. Now my mom, who has always been a super overprotective and helicopter parent, has I think just lost her mind at this point. It all started a little over 2 years ago. A guy I worked with and had a huge crush on finally asked me out. I was 24 at the time and still living with my parents and didn't have my own car. I was so excited to finally go out with him. And of course, I had to ask my mom because I was using her car at the time. She said no, I couldn't date him. That I couldn't date any guy for that matter. Now, she had been like this with every guy I tried to see or date. But this was different because I really liked this guy. And we had so much chemistry. She wouldn't let me use her car and started driving me to and from work just so she knew I was there and not at my coworker's house. So the guy and I started to secretly see each other for a few months. My mom had eventually let me use the car again, and I would drive over to his house and spend some time with him after work. But I could only be there until about 6:30 p.m., when my mom would text me and ask when I was going to be done with work and where I was. I got away with this for about a month when I tried to sneak to his place on my day off, telling my mom that we had a meeting at work that I had to go to. She ended up calling my workplace to ask if I was there. They obviously said no, and that was it. My mom was blowing up my phone, furious, and asking where I was, and that she knew I was with my coworker somewhere. I was scared and told her I was with him and my dog at a baseball field by his apartment. When I got home, she threw a fit and threatened to kick me out of the house. A week later, I went back over to his place to hang out after work. Well, at about 6:30, when I was telling him that I should go because my mom was blowing up my phone, I looked out his upstairs window and saw my mom and sister in the parking lot by his house, looking for me. I was terrified because I know my mom. I had no choice but to leave his apartment, and that's when she saw me. She flew into a rage and ran over to the apartment and started banging on his door and shouting at him. He was terrified, of course, and didn't answer the door. I was so mortified that I just got into the car and went home. To make this shorter, there ended up being 3 occasions where the guy I was seeing called the cops on my mom when she showed up at his place, ringing the doorbell, demanding to see me. I ended up living with him for a week when I was so fed up and was looking for my own place. And when I did get my own place, the stalking did not stop. I'm 26 now, and she drives past my apartment sometimes to see if I'm here. She texts me asking where I am all the time. About a month ago, my boyfriend, the same guy I've been talking about, and I were going to go out for some drinks when my mom came driving past his place, yelling out my name. He got so distraught over it that he broke up with me that night. He was so fed up with my mom stalking him. I was devastated. 2 weeks go by and he and I finally talk it out, but he says he wants me to create some boundaries with my mother. He doesn't want to see her drive past his place anymore. I just don't know how to do it. I want my mom to leave me alone forever, but I can't stop her from driving past his place. If I stop all contact with her, it'll get so much worse. Please, I need advice on how to get my mom to just leave me alone forever. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.